J. Kyle, man of the ringer. Welcome back to Combos Court, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while, man. When was the last time I was on here? I specifically remember we talked about LaMelo and Cade, so it couldn't have. It was probably a year ago. It was probably a year ago, right?
That's actually great memory. We actually did talk about them. I asked you who you think would be the better player, and I guess it's kind of a question today for today as well. But I think it was 2019, and I think the month was September, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that ended up being a really prescient question. I mean, I mean, that's gonna be a question. I think that's probably why I remembered it because that's gonna become a storyline. I think you're here in the near future.
So where do you land on that? Obviously, we have a better NBA sample size with LaMelo, even though it's not a super large sample size. But where would you land on that today?
Oh man, I've been pondering this a lot lately because the other day on our podcast on the Ringer NBA University, get that plug out of the way real quick.
Most definitely.
No, we were talking about. I guess I hadn't totally zeroed in on LaMelo's ceiling in terms of putting a number by it, because before the draft, I was like, absolutely, this guy's the most talented guy in the draft. He was doing things that were just he was on another level from his peers. But I was like, there are some questions here that could sort of compress where he ends up. Because there are a lot of talented guys out there that it's like XYZ. If this doesn't pan out, they won't quite get there. But with LaMelo, I thought that he would be in that, like, I think where I landed was like 35 to 60 range, like really good starter, potentially
Yeah.
get into the fringe all-star conversation. But I hedged at the end of my video that I made about him, and I was just like, you know what, he has the talent to surpass this, to like do better than this. And so far, I mean, the early returns have been that like he is going to do that because he's already in that range, or he's. I mean, there are people that think he's sort of just sub all star right now, like at least in the last 15 games. So, but then you start comparing that to Cade, and I think Cade's popularity, or there's a weird, speaking of the word compress, I mean, there's like a compression I think that happens between the like really enthusiastic draft community and then the people who are sort of paying attention to the draft, and they just hear us chirp Cade, Cade, Cade for like over a year, and I think people are kind of like, let's. And I think that's just natural discourse where people are just like, are we sure? Are we totally sure that Cade is this guy? I remain confident that he is. I guess the question that they both have is Cade is different from Luka. LaMelo is different from. I'm trying to think of another example. Just these guys that can, or Harden is another kind of example. The main difference for me is that like the appetite for scoring, for either guy, I don't know that it's totally going to be there. I feel like they both are deferring players first.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how consistent a shooter Cade can be. We'll see how consistent a shooter LaMelo can be, because that's a really important piece of the puzzle. Like Luka likes to put it on your ass, man. He wants to score, and that's a big part of what makes him so great. So I would lean Cade still, because of defense too. Cade has potential to be really switchable. I know I've talked forever on this, but I don't know. Have you gotten to watch much of him
Yeah.
lately?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it's just with him. Actually, he's proven that he could shoot. I think that was kind of like a question mark, but he hasn't really shown the willingness to shoot at times. I think that's the thing with him.
Yeah, he doesn't hunt it at all. I mean, there are times I mean, we've all watched Luca a lot, and Harden's this way too. I think that's just kind of in the DNA of who they are. I think Cade is way more fine with just being like, I'm willing to sort of shift into this other style. But like Luke and Harden are like, they're going to score. Like, for sure they are.